Have you ever found yourself nodding and agreeing with somebody's every word to later realize you don't even know why you was actually agreeing with them? Well, that's because they're using an elite persuasion trick on you and you've fallen for it every single time. The same psychological trick that allows world-class speakers such as Tony Robbins, Barack Obama, Simon Sinek to influence mass audiences whenever they choose to open their mouths. I've also used this trick on stage over the past 9 years to hundreds of thousands of people, and I've had them all eating out the palm of my hands. So if you stick around, I'll show you what this elite persuasion trick is and how you can use it to become a world-class speaker that impacts thousands, if not millions of people around the globe. Let me give you a quick story. Years ago, I was at an event and a guy spoke just before me. He had all the credentials, all the qualifications, but he lost the room. Why? Because he couldn't connect. He was presenting, but not persuading. So I got up, I shared my story, connected it to their reality and showed them what was possible. Not only did I get a standing ovation, I left with 2 more private bookings. And that's the power of persuasion. It makes your message land. And as a speaker, if you can't persuade and you can't transform, then you're just talking without no real impact. You see, here's what most people mess up when it comes to persuasion. They think persuasion is this sneaky, shady thing that you're trying to do to trick someone, but it's not, and we need to completely reframe our mind around persuasion. Persuasion, it's simply influence with intention, and it's your intent that makes that persuasion good or bad. So, quick example, let's say I use my voice, my story to manipulate someone into buying something that they don't need. You see, that's toxic and that's manipulation. But if I use my voice, my story to inspire someone to have that edge or to never give up on their dreams, to invest in themselves or see their self-worth, that's also manipulation, but it's powerful, positive, and purposeful. So as a speaker, your job is to lead, and every leader knows how to move people, and that's what true persuasion is. Now, how do you use persuasion to become a world-class speaker and to gain your audience's attention from the very outset? Now, before you can inspire anyone, before you can teach, sell, or shift a single mindset, you've got to do one thing first, and that's persuade. Persuade them to listen, because if you can't win their attention, you'll never win their emotion. And without emotion, your message dies in the air. So today, I'm going to give you the persuasion trick that pulls people in and makes them feel they have to hear what you're saying next. This persuasion trick is called the seat formula. This is a method that I teach my students, and this is a method that I use every time I speak on stage. So the first thing in this formula is important, and it's important because if you position it correctly at the start of your speech, you will have people interested and intrigued to know what you have to say. If you do not position this in the way that you should, you will lose your audience's attention, and they might not walk out of the auditorium or wherever it is you're presenting, but they will just mentally log out, or they may go on their phones or do whatever it is other than listen to you. So first up, we have subject. If you're not able to persuade your audience that your message is worth listening to, then they just won't. You've got to be able to position the subject in a way that speaks to what's at stake. For example, don't just say, today we're going to talk about confidence. Say in a persuasive way like, what if the one thing stopping you from making money and finding your purpose and walking into every room like you belong there isn't talent, but it's your confidence? Now, what one sounds more persuasive? Exactly. It's important that you position your subject early on so people are leaning in throughout your talk. The next point is equally as important as number one, if not more important. And the reason why I say that is because this next point is what's going to connect to the hearts of your audience. It's what's going to make them feel like they have a trusted authority on stage. And when you speak to people, when you're on stage, that's how you need them to look at you. Like you're the expert, you're the authority, you're the one that can guide them to a better future or life, right? You want to be able to become a leader whilst you're on that stage. So this next point is experience. Now, what do I mean by experience? I mean your journey, telling your story from zero to hero, from rags to riches, what you've had to face, what you've had to go through, and where you are now. If you want to truly be persuasive, you've got to be able to relate before you can educate. So tell that story, tell them that journey of why you're the right person to deliver on this topic and to be delivering this presentation to them. Because if you can connect with your audience through your story, they will be emotionally brought in. And that's what we want to be able to do, right? We want to be able to emotionally connect, especially if you're selling a product or service or want the audience to take the next logical step with you. You have to connect with them on an emotional level. I don't tell my story on stage because it's about me, but because it makes the audience say, damn, that's me. And that's where you want to get them to. You want to get them to feel like they know you, that they are you, and that you're the right person that they should be listening to. Your story is the bridge between information and transformation. Now, this next point is the heartbeat of persuasion. If you do this right, you would be able to shift, lead, sell, transform any audience that you are literally speaking in front of. This next point is probably, it's the most important part of the model. You have to get this right, because if you don't, it will go terribly wrong. And I promise you, if you want people to buy your book, buy your coaching program, your course or consultancy, or even to just inspire them to do better, if you can't do this next point, kiss your dream as a speaker goodbye. And you should be studying and making sure that this next point is within all of your speeches. You see, I remember in my early days where I didn't really think about this next point. Whilst I was on stage, I felt a massive disconnect. People were talking with each other, people were looking at other parts of the hall. Nobody was really paying attention, and I could feel it. And when that used to happen to me in my early days before I invested in coaching and mentorship on how to become a great speaker, all I wanted to do was the floor to open up and literally swallow me whole. And the next point in the formula is audience. You see, if you want to persuade your audience that you're the right person, you have the right service, you have the right leadership qualities to get them to where they need to get to, then you've got to understand your audience on a deeper level than you've ever thought. In order to persuade your audience, you've got to understand their pains, their desires, their fears, their fantasies better than they do. I always say, if you can articulate someone's pain better than they can, they'll automatically assume that you have the solution. So create the gap, the distance between where they are now and where they want to be. And then from there, you can position your message as the bridge. So understand your audience and speak into their pains and their pleasures to persuade them that you have the right solution for their needs. That leads us on to the last point of the presentation. The next point is crucial if you want to get the buy-in from your audience and you want them to take action, whether that's action on buying your product, your service, or taking the next step in their growth or their career. Whatever the message is that you're trying to persuade them with, this next point is important for it to be taken seriously. So lastly, we have time. Why now? Why does this matter today and not tomorrow? You have to position your message with urgency. And urgency isn't just a sales technique, it's a psychological trigger that says, this is the right moment, this is the right time. I need to take action now. That's how you bring time into your message, by showing them the cost of waiting and the power of acting right in this moment. But here's the honest truth. This elite persuasion trick can only take you so far. So if the way you're communicating isn't up to par, then you'll never be regarded as a good, let alone great speaker. So watch this video where I show you how to communicate so well that audiences can't help but give you a standing ovation every time you open your mouth.